Do you dream of escaping your 9 to 5 and starting your own business? Or maybe you're just thinking, I want to dabble in business and see if it is right for me. Or maybe you've heard about the side hustle culture and you want to know if it's right for you. And if so, you've probably watched a ton of YouTube videos, some big time influencers talking about different businesses or different business models. And you've wondered which one could be potentially right for you. Well, I'm creating this playlist to be able to review 12 of the most common types of businesses out there. And whether you start them as a side hustle or jump into them full time, we're going to explore pros and cons of each type of business model, as well as, in the first video here, explore whether or not, or validate perhaps, a business idea that you do have. And really, if you want to kind of figure out what the perfect business is, it really has to be the perfect business for you. And in case you have no idea where to start, I've created a little mini workbook that will allow you to brainstorm some ideas. So I've linked that in the description below. Once you finish this first video, feel free to explore that or go all the way through the next 12 after that and then explore the business idea workbook. It'll allow you to validate some ideas and really kind of fine-tune a business model or business idea for yourself. So in this video series, we're going to explore some of the topics that you see some of these big YouTube names talk about. So Etsy stores, print on demand, freelancing, consulting, coaching, social media marketing agencies or SMMAs. We're going to look at affiliate marketing, kind of niche websites. And we're also going to explore some physical businesses like stores or service models. So let's jump in and kind of take a look at the next steps of validating your business idea. And who am I? Well, I'm Helena. And after a 30-year career in finance, business management, marketing, a whole bunch of self-employment, I now help other small businesses and sales agents to streamline their business processes and be seen online better. So now that's out of the way, let's jump into validating your business idea. So choosing a business model based on an influencer is fine to do. However, you really have to take a look at what's inside of you. Take a deeper look and say, is this business model right for me? So if we take a look, the most profitable kind of businesses out there are based on health, wealth, or relationships. Those are what really sell things to people. It allows you to kind of open wallets a little bit easier if you are in those areas. Now, not saying that if you aren't in those areas, that you really can't make a profitable business, but usually it does help to be in those. And in a moment, we're going to go into a deeper level of exploring passion, skills, as well as profit, and how it's so important that works into your business model as well. I'm going to be sharing my screen, a Venn diagram that's going to go through this in a moment. But before we get there, I recently watched a Tony Robbins video that I found very interesting. And I loved how he laid this out. So I kind of want to just explore that before we jump into sharing my screen. So he explained that actually business owners can tend to fall into 3 types of owners. The first type is the artist. So this is a person who likes to create something. They like to build it from ground up. And the idea of ever selling it, oh my goodness, would turn their stomach. So that is kind of the person who kind of really holds something that they have made near and dear to their heart. They necessarily aren't what's considered an entrepreneur, and I'm going to get into what an entrepreneur is in a moment, but they are considered more of an artist. They wouldn't let go of their baby. Then there is the business owner who he calls the manager. And this is a person who really is great at organizing people or processes to get something done. And the manager tends to not necessarily be so much about a product, but organizing the people and the systems to create something incredible. And then we have the entrepreneur. This is your classic risk taker. They thrive on the thrill of starting something new, growing it, and then selling it. So if you think about entrepreneurship as a whole, we always think business owners are entrepreneurs. Perhaps they have a component of them. And Tony Robbins did talk about this, that you could have one or three of these combined. You could lean heavy on one and have smaller portions of the others. You don't necessarily have to have just one type. But if you take a look at myself, I would classify myself as a serial entrepreneur for most of my life. I have always loved the thrill of starting, building, growing a business and then selling it. I loved that idea. And I got really good at it and really efficient at it. Now, part of that is that I needed to kind of lean into the management side, into creating systems and processes and people in order to make that happen. But the least thing I was for a very long time was the artist of building something that you would call your baby. And I will say now, with my current business and probably my age, I can't lie here, is that I having a very hard time with the idea of ever selling this business that I'm building right now. And I will say that even over time, I have seen myself become less of the entrepreneur and now moving into more of that artist mode with a little bit more management. And I think what he said was very, very valid. And he did say he has all three of them in himself. But I also think that as time goes on, as life goes on, as priorities go on, that this could change as well for everyone. I know for sure I am testament that it has changed for me. So now that we have that out of the way, we're going to jump into that Venn diagram that talks about profits, skills, as well as passion. And using that and knowing where your strengths are and where everything comes together to kind of create the best model for yourself. And that's where we often see that people do fail in business, is because they perhaps may lack one area, or perhaps there is also a need for kind of more entrepreneurship, but they're an artist. So if we take all of this into consideration, finding the best business model, let's hope that we can work this out and see what is the right fit for you. And before we get there, if you're liking this video, please like, subscribe, drop a comment. I love hearing from you. Okay, so let's take a look and see. Let's validate your business idea. You have this great idea, but do you have what it takes to make this business thrive long term? And really what it comes down to is you have to have three things. So do you have the passion or the love of this business idea to take it long term? Do you have the ability to earn profit in this business? Will it be able to be sustainable long term? And last, do you have the skills? And these are not in any particular order at all, but do you have the skills in order to make this business successful? Or do you have the ability to hire people who have the skills to make this successful? Or do you have the drive to learn the skills to make this business successful? The last one of those, obviously, will make your business take longer to start up. But really, at the end of the day, we need to make sure all three of these interject. And really, that's why you need to take a look at all of these connected together. Now, what happens, though, if you only have two of these? So if you have passion and you have profit, so you have something you love and it has the ability to make money, but often this will lead to failure because of the fact that you lack the skills in order to make this go long term. So you don't have the ability to really kind of ramp up the business because there are key components of it that you do not possess. Now, what happens also if you have the passion and you have the skills? Fantastic. You have probably a really great hobby. So if we take a look at, say, something like the metaphysical world, there are a lot of people who want to open up like meditation, Reiki type of things. They have a lot of passion for this. They have a lot of skills, but perhaps they're missing the profit area. Or crafter businesses. You know, you have a passion to knit or crochet and you have the skills, but maybe the profit isn't there to be able to buy a lot of goods to offset the cost and the time associated to your craft. So that is where passion and skills really, you have to take a look and say, is this a hobby or can I really make it into a business? And yes, there are people who have taken a hobby and turned it into the business. You do need to have a little bit more of a business idea. It's not necessarily saying I'm going to sell my crochet, project, but maybe I'm going to sell my crochet patterns instead. So you can kind of scale your hobby into a larger, more virtual market. So you can have the ability to kind of convert any one of these, but it does take a little bit more ingenuity in order to fill that last quadrant of profit. Okay, so let's take a look at the next one. And if you have profit and you have skills, you then potentially could have boredom if you do not have the passion for it. So if we take a look at this, like the social media management companies, perhaps there's a lot of ability to make a lot of money here, and perhaps you have the skills to do it, but do you perhaps love the dentistry market so much that you just constantly are working with dentists in order to pursue social media marketing for them over and over and over again? So a lot of times we do find people who lead with kind of profits and skills, but don't have the passion, they end up getting bored. Now, that being said, you absolutely can develop passion for something along the way. If you do it long enough and you end up delving everything that you could possibly learn into that business, you can develop the passion for it. But often we have the trap where people end up becoming bored before they develop that passion for it. So if we take a look and say, if you have the passion, you have the skills and the profits, you really end up looking at this kind of center section. And what we call that is the sweet spot. This is the business sustainability sweet spot. This will allow a business to develop roots, longevity, because you will culminate all of these areas into that business. And if we take a look at that further, what do we call it? Well, it's your dream business. This is absolutely what somebody says, oh, I have my dream business. And it is because they were able to mesh passion, profits, and skills together in order to make that. And when you do have something like that, well, that is where you end up getting that really profitable business idea. By looking at passion, profit, and skills, what do you love? What can you make money off? What skills do you have? Great, that could be your business idea. So with that, I'm going to jump into the next part of this, where we're going to start introducing the next parts of this playlist, and I'll see you there in a moment. So there you go. Now you can take a look and say, is my business idea profitable? Do I have the skills to get there? Do I have the passion to drive this? You now know whether or not, high level, if your business idea could possibly be suitable for you. But now, as part of the playlist, the first video that I'm going to introduce is virtual business ownership. So this is things like freelancing, consulting, coaching, VAs or virtual assistants, anything that could be kind of a virtual business model that you can do from your own home. So subscribe if you're not subscribed to make sure you get that video, or if it's already posted, find the link below to the playlist so you can start going through video number 1 on virtual business management. See you soon.